On Tuesday, a judge approved a $375 million settlement between the UFC and its former athletes in the La vs. Zuffa lawsuit. This appears to be the end of a 10-year legal battle. The UFC was accused of using its position as the top MMA promotion to lower fighter wages between 2010 and 2017 in an antitrust case. The UFC would have been in court on February 3 with a possible billion-dollar liability if it hadn't settled. Judge Richard Franklin Boulware II rejected the $335 million settlement that the two parties had previously reached in March because it was essentially too favorable to the UFC. In September, the new $375 million settlement was presented to Judge Boulware in the hope that it would address his concerns. On Tuesday, the UFC issued a brief statement acknowledging the news. Today's decision is welcome news for both parties. We are pleased to be another step closer to bringing the La case to a close. The fighters named as plaintiffs in the lawsuit are finally receiving payment, and Boulware has given his approval to it. Tom Lawler, a former athlete in the UFC, estimated that approximately 1,200 fighters would receive the funds, which will be reduced by fees of $115 million. Even though the reduced total of $260 million still amounts to approximately $217,000 on average per fighter, individual athletes' payments will vary. Historic day for the UFC, historic day for the fighters, Lawler said. After 10 years, it seems like it's over. Even though the fight between the fighters is over, the UFC and its parent company, TKO Group Holdings, are still fighting a similar lawsuit led by Kajan Johnson, a former UFC fighter. That suit applies to fighters who competed after 2017, but no trial date has been set yet. The UFC stated that it had filed a motion to dismiss the complaint in its initial announcement of the settlement.